Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Irmaya Nurrohmah. I am an English teacher of MTSS Tribakti Ataqwa, Lampung Timur, Lampung. And now I join with University Muhammadiyah Malang as a student of program Profesi Guru. And first of all, let me say big thanks to University of Muhammadiyah Malang and ICE-TPD who hold this event, International Conference on Education, Teacher Training, and Professional Development. And now in this video, I would like to present my paper entitled Developing Teachers' Assessment Skill, a Dynamic Approach versus Competency-Based Approach. Introduction, Teaching and Learning Cycle. As we know that the basic teaching and learning cycle is 1, planning. In this step, the teacher develops teaching and learning strategies and setting the objective. The teacher make just like a lesson plan. After that, we implement the lesson plan of work to the student, as we call it teaching and learning process. After that, the teacher make an assessment to the student's outcome. The assessment is to measure that the objective or goals of teaching and learning process that we have made in lesson plan is reached. So we have to make sure that the student comprehend with the material, with the objective of our teaching and learning process. The teacher have to make sure that the teaching and learning process were done successfully. And the last one is feedback. Feedback is information given to the learners and teacher about the learner's performance related to the learning goal or outcome. Okay, the assessment of the student outcomes is the final procedure in this process of teaching learning. The pedagogical skill of assessment and how it can be developed is one of core issues in the discussion on teaching quality and effectiveness. Recently, there are many approaches can be used to develop teachers' assessment skill. The teachers can be used dynamic approach or competency-based approach. Each approach has their own effect in teaching learning process. Well, in line with the above, this study tried to investigate whether dynamic approach or competency-based approach is more effective in developing teachers' assessment skill. Okay, here we have method. This study is a qualitative research. So to achieve the aim of this study, the literature review will be drawn to compare the impact of dynamic approach and competency-based approach on developing assessment skill and improve the quality of the student outcome. So the researcher tried to review many literature and analyze the result of the literature to compare which one, dynamic approach or competency based approach, which has the more effective impact on developing assessment skill and improve the quality of the student's outcome. And here we have result and discussion. CBA, competency-based approach to professional development, recognizes teachers' competencies as a determining factor or effective teaching and learning and aim to improve them through professional development intervention, stated by DC 2017. In this area of educational assessment, the competency movement has contributed to the development of the concept of assessment literacy, stated by Popam 2004 and Stigin 2002. But otherwise, the teacher improvement effort should aim at the development of teaching skills, which has been empirically associated to positive student learning outcomes. Dynamic approach support that teacher training and professional development should focus on how address specific groupings of teacher factors in relation to student learning rather than to an isolated teaching factor and teaching skill as proposed by the CBA without any considering the professional needs of each group of teachers stated by Kramer et al. 2013. And the last literature, we have Margarita Christoforidou, Leonidas Kyriakides, 2021, stated that the dynamic approach has a greater impact on teachers' assessment skills and student learning outcome than the CBA, competency-based approach. It showed differential effects were also identified since differences in the impact of each approach were only identified for teachers who were situated at the higher stage, the situation at the higher stage of the assessment skill. Then, in line with the conclusion and the discussion of the literature review, the researcher drew a conclusion is that the use of dynamic approach is more effective in developing teachers' assessment skill than using the competency-based approach. The teacher should focus on how to address specific grouping of the teacher factors in relation to student learning rather than to an isolated teaching factor and teaching skill. So the most important one is the teacher must make a development. The teacher must improve their skill in teaching learning process. That's all. All right, that's all my presentation. Thank you for your attention. And finally, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.